What appeared to be one of the most gripping war stories of all time is now reportedly revealed as a hoax. A man claiming to be a U.S. Vietnam veteran missing 44 years is instead believed to be a Vietnamese man who has impersonated the U.S. soldier for several decades. The Daily Mail first reported the fraud after discovering classified documents suggesting the man claiming to be Sergeant John Hartley Robertson really is a 76-year-old Vietnamese citizen named Dong Thang Ngoc. The documents, derived from a Defense Prisoner of War Missing Personnel Office memo, provide fingerprint analysis, DNA testing, and a recorded admission by Ngoc several years ago, all pointing to mistaken identities. According to the memo, the FBI made a final conclusion in 2009, believing that the Vietnamese doppelganger made the claims to defraud the U.S. government of money and military back pay. The hoax report comes just a day after media outlets around the globe jumped on the story of the astonishing discovery of Vietnam veteran Robertson, based on the newly unreleased documentary Unclaimed by Emmy-winning director Michael Jorgensen. The documentary claims Robertson was left behind in Vietnam after a mission in 1968 and shows how the soldier allegedly forgot his own birthday, how to speak English, even his own children's names, after years of living in a Vietnamese jungle. Although it now appears that all of this was a lie, it was still enough to not only convince the documentary makers that he was telling the truth, he also won the full support of people who knew Sergeant Robertson. The Toronto Star notes that Robertson's sister has designated him as her brother, saying in the documentary, "I was certain it was him in the video, but when I held his hand in my hand and looked in his eyes, there was no question. That was my brother." But with the contradictory government investigations, other sources are now also proclaiming their skepticism. One former lieutenant colonel of the Joint Prisoner of War Accounting Command in Vietnam told the Business Insider, "There were at least half a dozen investigations into the case. This guy was a frequent flyer at our office. It totally blows my mind that he's gotten this far. He forgot how to speak English and his kids' names? Who falls for that?" According to a CIA officer, Ngoc's fraud attempts can be traced back to the early 1980s and were so well known that he became synonymous with con men impersonating U.S. Army veterans that are missing in action. So does this change the filmmakers' view on their own work? Not exactly. A spokesman for the film refused the claims of a hoax, adding to the Telegraph, "I can assure you that Michael performed due diligence in producing the film." For Newsy, I'm Bryce Sander.